What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how quarterbacks can get a perfect throwing motion with some of the best drills for your throwing mechanics. Let's get started. Also, fellas, if you are a quarterback and would like to train with us this offseason, we're going to be traveling out to 11 more states for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. Next up on our camp tour, we're going to be coming out to Dallas, Texas. Then we're going to be heading out to St. Louis, Missouri, the DMV area. Then we'll be coming out to Boston, Massachusetts, Honolulu, Hawaii. Then we'll be heading out to Cleveland, Ohio, Austin, Texas, Newark, New Jersey, Seattle, Washington, Denver, Colorado, and Los Angeles, California. So if you guys are local to one of those cities and would like to come train with us for 2 whole days, 8 hours of training total over the course of a weekend with myself and my staff of coaches, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out. Let's get started with this video. All right, guys, so one of the biggest mistakes that quarterback coaches will do with their guys is make sure that they all have the same throwing motion. He wants them all to have the exact same throwing mechanics. Now, the problem with that is that everybody's different. Every single quarterback who's watching this video, every single person who's watching this video has a different body type and probably throws the football different. You look at all 32 NFL starters, not a single one throws it identical to another one. So let's get that out of our minds right now, that we have to throw a certain way. We should try to copy a certain person. Everybody's got their own mechanics, but there's an efficient way to build your mechanics, and that's what we're going to try to talk about today. So the first part about your throwing motion, we're going to give you a great drill to work on this in a second, is being able to get to a position called a backstroke. So what a backstroke is when you guys go to throw, you see all the greats get to some kind of position here, whether it's like, a guy like Kyler Murray maybe drops the ball low. You see a guy like maybe, let's say like Matt Ryan gets to kind of this like perfect L, I guess you could say. Aaron Rodgers is a little bit tighter, but they don't lift the ball directly to 90, which is a very old school method. And some of you probably have had a quarterback coach to tell you, hold the ball up by your ear and lift it to 90. Now, here's the problem with that. Quarterbacks are rotational athletes. We rotate and we generate power from my lower body transferring weight and from my hips being able to rotate through, right? So when I go to make this throw, if I just lift the ball to 90, and let's say you lift the ball to 90 when you take a step with your front foot, when your hips rotate through, what ends up happening is that ball, your rotator cuff works in 2 parts. When you rotate, your rotator cuff's either going to go from here to here, or it's going to go from here to there behind your head. So if you're a quarterback who has that problem dipping the ball behind your head, let's maybe try to get a little bit more of a backstroke. Now, not only when you dip the ball behind your head, the reason why that's a problem is because usually that puts a lot of stress on your elbow, and guys like to dip their head out of the throw, which can lengthen their release, and they will miss high. Everybody who lifts the ball usually has that problem of missing high because they swing this elbow down for power. We do not want that. We want my power to be able to come from my lower body, my hips, and my weight transfer. Now, when I get to this backstroke position, look at the difference. I get to here, backstroke position. Now my hips rotate through and they're coming through before my shoulders do. My 90-degree position is almost behind my hips. That's how I'm able to generate more of a whip with my arm, get a better throwing motion, but also keep my arm healthier. Because what guys will do is that when they go to throw and they lift to 90, your throwing sequence is a lot like hitting a baseball. If you go in to hit a baseball, you step with your front foot, you keep the back loaded, and the hips spring the back. Very similar when we throw. We get to a backstroke, front foot gets down, hips spring the ball through. And that takes pressure off the arm. You don't throw a million throws all arm. So what guys will do when they lift the ball to 90 is they'll lift, but their shoulders end up beating their hips through. Because that's the only way. That's the only option that you have in your throwing sequence. And that puts a ton of pressure on the elbow and the shoulder. So that's why we need to get to the backstroke position. Now, what's the drill to rep that? So you're going to be here. You're going to start out in a position where you're going to have your front foot slightly open to the target. You're going to have your hands already separated in some kind of backstroke position. Now, do you need to be perfect L? No, like I said, everybody's different. But we need to be some kind of backstroke. So now all we are going to do is you are simply just going to pivot your back foot and bring your arm through. Now, when you pivot your back foot, it's very important that we keep this back foot underneath my shoulder, because what guys will do is they'll do this drill very wide and their leg extends. You don't get any power from your hips. Make sure that that's under your frame, you're back loaded. We're just pivoting to bring that upper body through, to work on that good, nice, like half circle, if you will, with your arm to build a better and more efficient throwing motion. I'm gonna show you this thing's gonna look full speed. All right, guys, the next thing that you can do for a better and more efficient throwing motion is something called alphabets or a number line, right? So what this is going to work on your front side stability. So I'm going to explain what that is, and then I'm going to explain to you guys this drill that you can do. You don't need a partner. You don't need any equipment for this. You just need a football or maybe a very light dumbbell to do this with. Or even if you don't have either of those, use like a heavier textbook. I'm sure everybody goes to school. Use something that has a little bit of weight to it, okay? That's awkward to hold, I would say. You use a Hydro Flask as well. So what this is for is when you have a disciplined front side, you have a much more consistent release. For everybody loves to, show the quarterbacks that have that real snap of their release. They're able to extend on the ball really well, throw a pretty spiral, and a lot of that comes from having a disciplined front side. So we talked about this a little bit in the first example where I was talking about opening up. Quarterbacks who take this front elbow, a lot old school method. People used to teach, you want to try to elbow the midget, pull your elbow down as a source of power. But the problem is, as a quarterback, as a rotational athlete, there is something in our body called a midline. So this midline, line that goes down the middle of my body, if I fall off of the midline by pulling down and dipping my head, what does that do to my release? My release lengthens outside of my frame, and I could release very high, I could come down low like a pitcher, but it makes me inconsistent. So what we have to do is we have to try to keep my hand by my face like I'm eating a sandwich. Or think of it like I've heard some people say singing out of a microphone. I like that as well. So when we release the ball, my hand stays by my face so my release point can stay inside my frame. Now, another mistake that guys will make is they'll come out here, they'll go to throw, but they'll bring their front shoulder around. So what do you think that does to your arm? Pulls it off the midline and it's wide. And that's why so many quarterbacks, I should say, when they throw like this. How many of you guys probably throw like that? I'm sure a lot of you. And it's usually because we're opening up too quick. So this drill builds stability in the front side. When I go to throw, I want to try to stay parallel with my shoulders and hips to the target. Hand stays by my front face so I could get to this position of a release inside my frame. Doesn't need to be high, doesn't need to be sidearm like a lot of people teach, just needs to be inside of my frame so I can extend and get more spin and more snap on the ball. So this helps us with that. So all you were doing is you're gonna be literally drawing out an alphabet. I like doing this with a little bit lighter of a dumbbell because I could feel it a little bit more than doing with the football. But if you're limited on equipment, or maybe you're a younger guy, a football is great. So all you're gonna do, you're gonna hold the football and you're gonna literally draw out A, B, C, D, all the way through the entire alphabet, because that will build stability in your front side. And when your front side is stable, that makes us a more consistent passer, and that is an easy drill that you can do. If that's, you could do numbers as well. If the alphabet's too short, you could go 1, 2, etc. just to build that stability in that front side. You do this every night before you go to bed, and you will be a more consistent passer. All right, guys, so this next drill is going to help us have a more consistent throwing sequence. So what your throwing sequence is a way for you guys to be able to generate power, but also to have that clean throwing motion that you see so many people book for. Now, why is it important to have a good throwing motion? And take it from a guy who used to have awful throwing mechanics. When I played when I was younger, I had a coach that screwed me up real bad with the spread and with the push off the back foot, and it really screwed up my mechanics. And it matters because it helps you get in the door. If you're a coach and you're looking for a quarterback, let's say you're a freshman going into high school, 8th grade guy, you're trying to stand out, or maybe you're trying to stand out to a college coach and you have flawed mechanics, they overlook you, man. They're looking for a certain type of quarterback. It's not, the eye test isn't only about your height, your weight, how big you are. It's also about how you throw the ball and how the ball comes off your hand. So this helps with that throwing sequence. So remember we talked about how to generate power. It was like a baseball swing, right? You needed to be able to step with your front foot. As your front foot got down, your shoulders stayed back so we could generate torque and get more of a snap to my release, right? So this drill helps with that. So you're gonna need a baseball, weighted ball, tennis ball, whatever it is. But all we are going to be doing is working on my shoulders being able to stay back while my front foot hits. So many quarterbacks, because whether they have a long stride or whether they like to just open up, they will go to make a throw and they will strike the ground with their front foot like this. Now, when your shoulders and your hips are coming open at the same time, we have no torque and we have no snap on the ball. We have to have separation. You got to be able to separate your upper body and your lower body. Hips got to go through while the upper body stays back. So with this baseball, you're going to start with the baseball in your left hand. So it's going to be in your left hand. You can do this. You don't have to throw this ball at all either. You don't need any partner. You don't need anybody to work on your mechanics. So you're here. You're going to take a step with the front foot, but as you step, you're going to switch hands. So when you switch hands, can you open up? No, because if you open up, you're going to drop the ball. So you got to make sure you keep a little bit of a gap between your hands as well. But as you step, you have to close. put the ball into your right hand. And if you guys can do that and rep it out consistently enough, when you actually get a football in your hands, it's gonna be that much easier to rotate back as you step and get to that good position to generate torque and have a much cleaner throwing motion. So if you guys, again, great drill you could do, 100 reps a night of this just to get that better hip and shoulder separation for a better throwing motion. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, if you would like to come train with us, while we're in 11 different states this off season, we're coming all the way to Dallas, Texas, all the way to Los Angeles, California. Check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our off-season camps. I'll see you guys next time.